and I'm a life coach, and I specialize helping people learn how to manage their inner critics. Today we're talking about decision making, and oh my gosh, the decision paralysis that one can get from not making a decision is just like agony. And those of you who are in decision paralysis right now, you know who you are. It's very uncomfortable, and I know the feeling. I have been there. This is why I'm creating the video, to help you out, to help my clients out. It's a tough place to be in. We all don't like to be in decision paralysis. We want to create movement, we want to be happy and thriving, and we don't want to be bogged down and stuck with fear, anxiety, and doubt and lacking confidence in making our decisions. So that's why it's so important. That's why I wanted to make this video, so I can share some tips to help you get out of decision paralysis if that's where you're stuck. Because you don't want to be stuck there forever. A lifetime will go by and you will still have not made that decision, and that's not what you're meant to do here. You're meant to be sharing your light and thriving. So if you're somebody who hates making decisions, you get paralyzed by fear, worry, and doubt, and you also lack the confidence when it comes to making a decision. That's definitely me sometimes. I'm definitely that person where everyone's like, well, why don't you make a decision? I'm like, who, me? Me make a decision? Like that person? No, you're talking to me? I have to make a decision? Oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? And I'm someone who will fluctuate hourly on like what it is that I wanna do. All my friends and family that are watching this are totally giggling at this because I am definitely that person. I will have fear, worry, doubt, and anxiety, and I will have lack in confidence, especially if it's a big decision that involves many risks and factors. And 1 hour I will wanna do this, and then the next hour I wanna do that. And so I will be all over the place, and I still will have not made a decision by the end of the day, and I'll feel limited and I won't be able to move forward, and that just leaves me frustrated and upset. And then the fear, worry, and anxiety keeps building and building and building, and oh my gosh, it's super annoying. So, but there is a way out of it, and I've found some really helpful tips that have really helped me and my clients around making difficult decisions that I want to share with you, so that you aren't stuck anymore, so you don't stay in this decision paralysis phase anymore. You deserve to be thriving and happy in your life, so we're going to share these tips to get you moving. So this video will be good for if you're someone who is in a toxic relationship and you're trying to leave that relationship. Some of this advice could apply to you. Also, if you're in a job that no longer fulfills you, and you've been thinking about making a career shift but you've been too afraid, or if you're planning on making a big move, like maybe you're moving to a different state or are wanting to leave the country. Those are kind of some big areas that are common for people that can cause a lot of fear and anxiety. So if you're leaving a toxic relationship or doing a career change or having to make a move, those are oftentimes where people can kind of get full of anxiety, fear, worry, and doubt, and then have that decision paralysis. So I'm going to share my favorite tips that I think will help you. But first, I want to say I believe that there are 3 factors that keep us stuck in this decision paralysis when we get so bogged down by not being able to make a decision. The first thing I believe that keeps us stuck in the decision paralysis is fear of failure. This is so common, especially with our society. There's so much pressure in our society to perform and be perfect that when it comes time to make a big decision that's going to be affecting our lives, we are so worried about failing at it and what people might think of us. And so that can also keep us stagnant and stuck in place because we're worried we're going to fail, and we've made all these risks, and there's all and people are watching us, and we're also judging ourselves. So there's so much pressure when it comes to making a really big decision. So it makes perfect sense why we have fear that can keep us stuck in place, right? And when we have this fear, it can keep us stuck for days, it can keep us stuck for months, and even years sometimes, which is a really long time to be limited and stuck and stagnant in your life and not creating any movement or growth. So the fear of failing can actually really limit us in so many ways, and can also almost be dangerous to us to where we're actually not making any movement for a long period of time. The next one is the fear of the unknown. This one cracks me up because I'm a perfectionist and I love to plan everything out. And the fear of the unknown is so common for me. I always want to know exactly how everything's going to go. I want to know every single detail. I want to be prepared so that I can be perfect at what it is I'm trying to do, right? So when you're making a big decision and there's risks involved, you don't know if it's going to work out. You don't know exactly how it's going to go. So you kind of just have to show up and have total 100% faith, and knowing what you're doing is what's best for you at this time and in this moment, in this space. So the fear of the unknown is another reason why we would be stuck in this decision paralysis, right? And then the third one is a big one, lack in confidence. And that's actually the biggest thing with all of this, right? It's the lack in confidence we have in ourselves when it comes time to make a big decision. So what's funny about our brains is they're so sophisticated, but they have a funny way of holding on to painful memories that we kind of store away with us. And then all of a sudden they'll show up in the present moment when we're trying to make a decision. And it's usually coming from our inner critics, right? Our inner critic is showing up and saying, nope, don't do that again. You know how much pain you were in last time, so you better not screw it up this time. So our minds are holding on to these like really painful memories. And then that makes us lack confidence when we're trying to make this decision, right? It's that fear of failure. It's like remembering what it felt like to fail that one time. It was so painful that we don't even want to set ourselves up for that ever again. But the key thing we need to think about with all of this is failure is actually so good for us. Failure is essential for our growth. And as a society, when we can learn to love and accept ourselves, even when we fail or even when we're successful, that is a huge key to all of this, right? But that's it, the lack in confidence when it comes to making decisions. It can stem from past events that have happened, and our brains and our inner critics are just holding on to that negative activity that happened to us. And then as we show up in the present moment to make this decision, in the back of our minds, we're reminded of how painful that really was. So we put all this pressure on ourselves so we don't screw it up again. And this makes sense. Our minds are, technically trying to protect ourselves, right? It's saying, hey, like this didn't go well last time, don't do it again. So it's trying to provide some protection for us, but at some point we can't hide behind that, or we can't live in fear, right? Because again, it's limiting us and making us be in that decision paralysis stage where we're missing out on life because of that fear. So these are three important things that we need to think about that can cause us to be in the decision paralysis. Okay guys, so I'm going to share my tips that have helped me and my clients, and I want to share them with you so you don't get stuck in decision paralysis. So here we go. Okay, so tip number one is to review why it is you're in this situation to make this decision. What has come about that you are all of a sudden needing to make this decision, right? So as I mentioned, if you were in a toxic relationship and you're trying to leave this relationship, what has finally come up for you to notice that, okay, it's time for me to leave? Because oftentimes it's that reason that really wakes you up and really drives it home to you that there needs to be a decision made or a change made to prompt you to have some movement. So think about, why is this coming up for you? For me, though, a really big decision I had to make in the past year was moving from Colorado to California. What came up for me at that time was that I was feeling that I really outgrown the space in Colorado. I love Colorado, it's my hometown, but I lived there my whole life and I've never lived anywhere else. So I was really feeling like I needed to go expand my network, my professional and personal growth. I had this yearning inside of me that was telling me that I needed to go. And so that's what was driving this decision. Like, that's why it came up. So that was the empowerment piece that was getting me to make this decision and this movement. So the second tip is to create the ideal situation for yourself. For me, when I was deciding to make this move from Colorado to California, I was deciding what would be the ideal scenario for me to actually go through with this movement, because I had a lot of fear, worry, doubt, and anxiety, and I had lack of confidence in making this decision. I had never lived anywhere else, so this is a big decision. So for me, I sat down and I was like, okay, in order for me to actually do this, what's the ideal scenario that I could create for myself? So for me, I wanted to be able to just try it out. I didn't want to, commit to a year lease coming out, not knowing where I wanted to live, and be stuck in an apartment in a neighborhood I didn't like. That would just totally ruin the experience. So I wanted to be able to try it out. So I had the idea of contacting some vacation by rentals just to see if I could rent out a place to stay for a month. And so I wanted to see what that looked like. So I, went on VRBO, started looking for places to live. So I reached out to the owner of the vacation rental, and I let them know I was interested in renting it. And as I was making the ideal situation, I also wanted it to be priced a little bit lower. So I was brave enough to ask if there was any wiggle room on the price, so that we could negotiate this space. And so sure enough, they called me back and said that they were willing to work with me on the price. So therefore, I set up a test location for me. So I wasn't locked into a lease. I could stay there for a month, and I was able to negotiate the price. So I was started to create the ideal situation for me to test this move out and to make sure it felt comfortable and good for me. So the next step is to actually walk yourself through the worst case scenarios of this decision. So if you move forward with this decision, what's the worst that can happen? And so there's a little trick behind this. As you're doing this, write out all the things that you're actually afraid of, and talk about and sit there and think about what the worst situation that could come of this, like what's the worst that could happen. And if you can live with that, then you're okay. And so for me, the worst that could happen is that I would drive all the way out there with my stuff. I would test out the location and find out that California was not going to be the place for me to live. That was the worst case scenario. Would that be annoying because I drove all the way out there and spent all the money? Yes, but I was willing to risk that just to be able to test this out. So for me, that was the worst case scenario, is that I was going to get out there and not like it. But for you, think about, write down all the things that are the worst case scenario about this decision and see if you can live with them. And there's always going to be a what if, like if you decide one way or the other. So you just have to decide which what ifs could you live with once you make the decision. So mine was, okay, what if I drive all the way out there with my stuff and I get there and I don't like the place that I'm staying in and I don't want to stay there and it's like bad and it's run down and it's really creepy and it's just like weird, right? So the worst case scenario is that I'd have to find a different place once I got out there. And I decided, I'm like, okay, I can live with that. That's not too terrible of a thing. I have a cousin that lives nearby. I could go stay with them. And I was able to kind of walk myself through the scary scenarios. So this is always a good thing to do, because oftentimes just the thought of, something not working and us not further exploring it will prevent us from doing something. So if you actually walk yourself through your fears around the decision, it becomes a little bit easier. There's less pressure, and you actually can walk yourself through the fear and be like, oh, it's actually not that bad. So just decide on what the worst case scenario is and decide if you can live with it, and if you can, then go for it. Another good question to ask yourself, which is a really good motivating one, and I do this all the time when I'm having fear around making a decision, because it kind of gets me moving, is where do you want to be from a year from now? Do you want to still be in the same exact place that you're in right now? Or do you really want to make this change? Do you really want to make this decision that's going to change your career, or to end this relationship? Or do you want to make this move? And so for me, I sat there because I'd been thinking about California for many years. Even right when I was out of college, I always talked about how I thought I wanted to move to California. And I finally had the right time and opportunity in my life to do it. So I knew a year from that point in time, if I hadn't took the opportunity to do that, to try out California, I was going to be upset with myself, and I didn't want to be in the same space. So that really motivated me to actually make that movement with my decision as well. Okay, and here's a really good one. So decide what's right for you in the present moment. So I made my decision to get out to California. I set up my ideal test situation. Everything was great, but I only had rented my place for a month, and quickly that month went by so fast. And already the owner of the rental was asking me, okay, are you signing up for another month, or what is your plan? And all of a sudden I was faced with the same decision again. I was faced with like having to deal with money and find a new location if I wasn't going to stay there. And so I started to get nervous again. I started to get fearful. I started to wonder if I made the right decision. I started lacking my confidence in the decision. And I was like, oh, maybe I should move back to Denver. And I started just, spinning in my head again, just like I did when I was making the original first decision. And I had a really good friend of mine who was also a coaching friend, and she was by my side helping me through everything, and she just sat there and she said, well, what would you tell your clients? And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I would tell them to choose, what feels good in the present moment. And so she's like, there's your answer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right, I need to coach myself on this. And so what I did is I sat there and asked myself what I wanted in the present moment. And the present moment was, I wasn't ready to go back to Colorado. I had only had a month of exploring in California. I knew I wanted to explore so much more. And the reason why I was thinking about going back to Denver were all fearful reasons. And we tend to do that, right? Like we tend to create this big picture about the future that hasn't even happened yet. And that can also keep us stuck in a decision because we make up something in our heads that we think is going to happen that hasn't even happened yet. So, and that's exactly what I was doing. I wasn't giving myself the opportunity to check in with what was happening right now in the present moment, and what felt good in that present moment. So I took the time and space and really just connected with myself, and I really did want to stay. I wanted to have some more time there. So again, I kind of walked myself through all these steps. I walked myself with, okay, what's the worst case scenario that happens? How can I make the situation work for me? And I kind of just did that whole process again, and I was able to connect with that. I wanted to stay. So being present with your decision and feeling into that decision, feeling what feels good in that present moment. Oftentimes too, your body is a good gauge or indicator to tell you if you're doing something right or wrong. If your body feels excited but a little bit of nervous, that probably means that it's a good decision. If your body is actually in pain and like shutting down and feeling bad and you're feeling sick, that probably means maybe it's not a good decision. So it's always good to just really tune in with your mind and in your body to kind of feel into what it is you're doing in the actual present moment. Let that be your guidance system. And finally, the last tip is to love yourself. With decision making, it's usually a lack in confidence that we have within ourselves. And that stems from not having enough love for ourselves, enough love and self-acceptance. So the biggest thing is you have to learn to love and accept yourself and know you're human. So if you make this big decision and it ends up not working the way you think it should, just understand that failure is a part of how we grow. It's a part of how we learn. And also sometimes failing leads us to exactly where we need to go next. So try to just love and accept yourself and trust the process, and just trust what feels right to you in the present moment, and honor yourself, and just honor yourself and love yourself with this process. So when I made my move to California, it felt so good because I was honoring myself. I was listening to that voice that was telling me I had outgrown Colorado and I needed to go explore. So I made the move, and everything was supporting me. The universe was supporting me the whole time. And so just, when you show up for yourself and you love and accept yourself and you honor yourself, that's the best place to make your decision from. Try not to make the decision from fear, worry, and doubt, or what you think, or what others think you should do. Tune into yourself. Feel what's right, and feel what's right in the present moment for you, and let that guide you. Okay guys, so that's all I have for you. Good luck with your decision. I know you will make the best decision that's right for you. You deserve to be happy and thriving in your life, so don't let this decision keep you trapped in decision paralysis. You need to go ahead and make this decision. Honor yourself, love and accept yourself, trust that the universe will support you, and I know you can do this. If you want help with making this decision, I always offer a free coaching session. Please visit my website at letgolivecoaching.com. You can also follow me on my YouTube channel at Teresa Coltrane, or follow me on Instagram at letgolive. But I would love to help you with your decision. So whatever you do, don't keep yourself stuck anymore. You gotta move, you gotta keep going. Life is short, so you gotta keep rolling with the punches. So you can do this, I know you can. I'm here to support you. I love you.